So this is a stone that I happened to spot while I was out walking. There was just something about it that caught my eye. It was actually much more dusty when I saw it, so some of these features like that weren't actually not even visible. But there was something about the rock that caught my eye because it did look different than the other rocks around it. So I'll moisten it here in a minute and give you an idea of what it's going to look like when it's polished. But essentially what I'm going to do is, you can see here that this right side is a nice curve for a pendant. The left side is going to have to be modified significantly, which probably means the right side is going to have to be brought in as well. There's also some major pitting up here on what's going to be the front surface. The major one that I'm concerned about is the depth of this pit right here, which means that I'm going to have to probably cut down, instead of having it flat across the top here, I'm going to have to cut it down at an angle. The back is kind of a mess, but it's just the back, so there's as long as you've got material to take off, it's not a problem. If you're missing a piece, there's a problem. Okay, so here it is wet. You get a little bit of an idea of some of the color in it. It's got some really beautiful kind of a, I hate to say it, but it almost looks like a piece of meat. It's kind of a red color, but I think that once it polishes up, it will bring some really interesting color. This is going to be the front, and it doesn't have quite as much color, but I think that I can cut down some of the surface and get a little bit of that color out. And it never hurts to have the back really interesting as well, so that's just icing on the cake. Okay, here what I've done is I've drawn with a Sharpie, I've drawn a general shape of a pendant, teardrop. I used to always leave the lines on there and sort of carve down to the lines. Now basically all I do is I just draw something to make sure that it looks like it might work, but then I pretty much let the stone tell me what it needs as I go, and I kind of ignore the lines if they're not going where I need to. Usually you'll modify things fairly significantly. However, symmetry is really important. I'll typically look at it from the face, and I will flip it upside down and see if it's symmetrical or not when I'm getting close. If you flip it from front to back, it can really confuse you because of the shape of the extra surfaces in the back, or just the fact that the back of the stone is different than the front. So usually what I do is I just flip it one way and then the other to see if it's symmetrical. Here's what I use to cut with. It's a variable speed Dremel with a diamond cutting blade. This is on the quick release system that they've got, which is pretty nice. I always take the blade off and store it away from the drill when I'm not using it, just in case it gets knocked off the table or something. These things are expensive. Also, you want to keep them wet, so I always have water, and I'll basically dip the stone in there and cut for a couple of seconds, and just constantly every couple of seconds be dipping the stone in the water and keeping it wet. It'll dry off pretty quick, and you can see it drying off. It'll get hot and the water will evaporate, and you don't want to run it dry, if nothing else, to protect your diamond saw, because it'll really mess it up if you run it dry. Here's an example of something I was just working on this afternoon. This was just a crummy old river rock that I found out on walking the dog today, and it was just as rough or rougher than this one in terms of its shape. So this is what I ended up with, and one thing this will do for you is it will cut out the stage 1 of the tumbling, which can take up to 4 weeks. So basically the goal of stage 1 is to shape the stone and get it nice and smooth and round, get all the edges knocked off and everything. So basically what you can do is just make sure that the stone is in that condition when you get finished with the Dremel, and then you can pop it right into stage 2. Save yourself anywhere between 2 and 4 weeks, or maybe even more. Okay, I've been working on this for maybe just 5 minutes, and basically what I've done is taken off that big knot on this side, Now usually what I do is I don't just come in here and try to cut it off the whole thing. Usually what I do is I will trim it off. I'll use the edge of the cutting wheel and I'll cut off maybe 1/16 of an inch, and it kind of breaks off or splits off the edge while I'm doing that, and I find that that's really the most effective way of doing it, and you don't get any kickback or anything like that. Also trying to do this with one hand, but basically another technique is to use the edge of the blade and to kind of come across it like this. That really cuts really fast. So either cutting like this to a little bit at a time and just work your way down, or coming across like this, and then you can also hit it with the side of the blade or the side of the wheel to smooth it off. Okay, so let me continue. Okay, about another 5 or 10 minutes or so on the job now. Essentially, what you want to do now is you want to look at the outline curvature of the object, and try not to get fooled by the variations in the surface. You're looking just strictly for an outline, so it might help to get something black or dark, you know, so that you can just see the outline. So I can see over here where my thumb is, you know, that needs to be brought in a little bit more closer to the line, which is not surprising. But I think what's important here is to know that if you look at it from this standpoint, you see where I'm trying to cut perpendicular to the surface so that I can strictly work in one dimension. So I'm trying to just get the outline of the teardrop right now, and you can see that I didn't get it quite straight, but I'm pretty close. I need to bring this in a little bit to get a better idea of the outline, but you're really looking for the outline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to clean this up a little bit more right here. Okay, so I've taken off a little bit more of the that area on the side of the stone, and also what I've done is I've tapered a little bit of that mass in the back so that when you look at it you're really seeing the silhouette. Remember I said before it's important to flip it upside down. You don't want to look at the front and back, that'll really confuse you, but if you take it and you look at it, it's a little bit hard to see here, but if you flip it upside down, I can see that my my outline is yeah, it's a little off, of course, but it's getting closer. Now this area right here is really worn down, and so you have to be very, very careful that you don't let that throw you off. You're really looking at the outline of the whole shape. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this down to take off some of this rough area, try to level it off so that it will be much easier then to finish up the piece. Okay, what I decided to do, since I had a very big problem right here, there was the big indentation right here in the front. So if you take anything away from this video, I hope that what you take away from it is let the rock tell you what it needs. So essentially what I've done is I started to smooth down very aggressively the front surface of this stone, and I realized that, you know, I was gonna have to just sit here and work on it for half an hour in order to get it down to where I needed. Maybe it would be a much better idea to create a facet along this side, because I could very easily match it on the other side. So basically what I've done, I just wanted to stop real quick, is I've started to form a facet, which you can see we're on the right side there, that will basically compensate for that big hickey right here on the rock. Okay, so again, what I was saying is that you might draw lines and you might have a plan, which is great to start with, but basically it changes when you start working on the rock, because you just you think of better things to do, or you don't have any choice. But essentially I've been working this facet right here, and when I went over to the other side to match it, I noticed the other side was kind of rounded, so I said, okay, you know, get a lemon make lemonade. So basically what I decided to was just round the whole surface. Now I still have a divot right here, but as you can see now, This is the front of the stone. This will give you an idea of basically why it's important to keep your vision of what the overall shape is. Take a look at the back of the stone. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? So that's where we are right now, and all of this back of the stone now is just going to give me raw material to continue this shape down. So what I will do is I will continue this nice oval shape down until it doesn't have any pits in it. There's one pit right here especially I need to get rid of, and then I will just smooth the back of it, and the good news is I know I've got enough material back here to work with. Hey, I just picked this thing up to start on it, and I thought I'd show you a side view of it just so you don't panic when you get into a situation like this. You see, it might have looked real pretty from the front there, but here's what I'm working against. You see over the right side of the stone, you know, we have a real kind of a ducktail over on the right, so I got to bring that whole thing down and smooth this whole area out, and then right here where my forefinger is, that's where the divot is. Okay, I thought it'd be a good place to stop. If we look at the top of the stone now, you'll see it's completely smooth. There's no divots, there's no holes, there's nothing. It's all smooth. So that's kind of where we wanted to get it. That's actually color there. That's not a divot. But you know, we've lost a lot of the mass of the stone, but I guess it's better to have a small diamond than a big chunk of coal, isn't it? So let me start working on the back now. By the way, this entire process since the last time I stopped was all done with the side of the wheel, kind of like a polish, using it as like a polisher. You can hold the wheel still and take the stone and just rotate it back and forth, or vice versa. Just gently follow those curves, and what's nice about the flat wheel is it will find the high spots and take off the high spots. Alright, well, believe it or not, I think it's done. What I did was I went after the mass in the back very aggressively, holding the blade at about a 45-degree angle and just scraping it off very quickly. But always remember to stop and look at the whole piece and make sure that that you're going after the big picture. It's really easy to concentrate on one thing and lose, you know, the idea of the whole piece. So essentially there was kind of a twist in it. I didn't try to take the twist out. I don't see any reason why you can't leave something like that in. Trying to make the back flat would have been could have ruined the piece, really, because it could have affected the symmetry of the front. But the main thing is to have it so that it looks good at any angle. So this particular piece had a little bit of a bump right here, and it took quite a bit of work to get that out. Now I know that I will probably look at this tomorrow and I will tweak it. So you might actually be able to see some things that need to be tweaked already, but you know how it is when you work on something, you get a little bit too close to it. So it's better just to set it aside for a day and until the next morning, and then go in and fix any little things. There's a little bit of something right here I can smooth out, but that's no problem. So the main thing was that I got rid of that big pit in there. And now it's ready to go into stage 2 of the tumbling process, which begins the polishing process. It's already done the shaping. It would be a mistake, I think, to put it into stage 1 because it's already the right shape, and all you would do is basically lose more mass. And if it's the shape you want it, then why fix it if it ain't broke? So this is ready to go now into the polishing. And remember, this was just an old piece of white rock laying on the side of the path, and you know, probably would have walked by it 100 times and never thought anything of it. It just happened to catch my eye, and so there it is. It's going to be a beautiful little pendant. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope that you get out and do a little bit of experimentation with your Dremel and a diamond cutting wheel. You can really do a whole lot with it. All right, thanks for watching. Take care now.